Today on another episode of The Art of Cool. The Art of Cool is a series of me documenting things that I think are super cool, and I want to say I do these things, so I think I'm pretty cool. Okay, so today we're going to talk about one art of cool is intellect is the new sexy. I think intellect has always been sexy. It's just never been seen as sexy per se. So I think intellect is sexy. And I want to talk a little bit about that, and I want to talk a little bit of the style that I like, that I think I emulate. So, when people think of sexiness, usually people think of showing off your body, showing off your curves, really wearing very tight-fitted clothes and, showing off a lot of legs, showing a lot of cleavage. And, yeah, sure, that can be sexy, but I don't think that is how I would really categorize sexy, because that can be manufactured. I think the art of cool is things that cannot be manufactured, and things that it's all about signal, right? Signal that you're of a different breed, or you are of a different quality of person. And so, sexy is not about showing off your body, but looking smart and allowing your clothes to highlight the non-body aspects of oneself. That could be that could be a lot of things, like you might be interested in very feminine things like ballet and classical music. You can be interested in a bit more masculine things like running a tech company, right? People usually think of that as masculine. Or, being a very good athlete. People usually think of that as very masculine. But you can wear clothes to highlight that aspect of yourself, and that is sexy. Sexy is not about showing your body. And I know prostitution is like the oldest industry in the world, but I think there are other ways to show that one is sexy. And I think, and I would say that is what my style is. It's feminine and high quality, but more importantly, it's sexy without being sexual. Yes, that's the term. Sexy doesn't mean sexual. I think people have normalized the idea that, sex sells, right? You learn in university that marketing is all about sex, because the sex appeal, the sexuality is the thing that sells. And I think that is true to some extent of the mass market. But when it goes to a different degree of a non-mass market, a more curated market, too much sexuality is very vulgar. I find it very vulgar to constantly show your body to sell something. And there's nothing wrong with that, because selling your body, prostitution is the oldest profession in the entire world. But I don't want to be subjected to that. I don't want to consent to seeing someone selling sexuality to sell candles, sell books, I think that's very vulgar. And, clearly I'm not a fan of a big population of probably, Los Angeles or Hollywood people, because they like to sell sexuality. I think that's very vulgar. I find that very cheap, and that is really not cool. But then, if sexuality is not sexy, what is sexy? And I think sexy it's in a few ways, right? Things that they don't review, but they suggest. It's a show, not tell. If it's in your face, like, I am sexy, this is my boobs, this is my ass, this is my long legs. It's a very in-your-face kind of thing. And I find that extremely vulgar. So I don't like that. And I don't wear anything that accentuates that. But being feminine, it's not about showing all your curves. Being feminine can also be a very suggestive, soft sexiness, but not sexuality. And, femininity could be like wearing tunic dress. Actually, I wore one today, but I'm not in it anymore. It's a La Mer tunic dress, which is very beautiful. And it's actually a bit oversized. But it still helps me I still look very feminine in it, right? I'm talking about kimonos. I've got a kimono jacket, and I wear it all the time. It's big, but it's still very feminine. It shows different aspects of sexiness, but not sexuality. I love that. Things like even togas. Togas are not form-fitting. Flowy dresses. not form-fitting. They're very beautiful. And I'm not saying that things like corset or bodycon dress is vulgar, just that femininity is not just about squeezing your body until it's so tight and you want to show every aspect of yourself, every skin of yourself except the tiniest private parts. It's really very vulgar, and I feel it's very unappetizing, okay? I just find it very rude. I find it extremely rude. You can do all of these things in your bedroom, in your own privacy, with the consent of however many people you want to invite. But when you're out in public, kids, other people, me, we didn't consent to seeing someone walking around with such a tight corset that your breasts are falling out, such a small little shorts that your ass is hanging out. It's truly very vulgar, and clearly I've experienced that, and I'm very annoyed by it that I'm just ranting over here. But I really don't like that. However, sexiness can be suggested in other forms, like a dress that flows with movement, right? It hints at body contours only at certain movements. You see, we are 3D people. We move around. I talked about this in the t-shirt video. We're humans that we move around. We move our arms. We stand up and down. We move our bodies. So we are a three-dimensional being moving in a three-dimensional space. However, when you're staying still, when you're sitting, when you're texting, when you're typing, when you're reading, you're in a steady state. And I think this juxtaposition of you can be in a steady state which is quite 2D and flat, and in a 3D state where you're constantly moving and in motion, allowing clothes to highlight different aspects of you in these different states. These clothes hold a very special place in my wardrobe. I want to say most of my wardrobe is like that. Because when a dress is in steady state, it shows intellect, it shows intelligence, it shows sophistication, it shows elegance, poetry, philosophy, with a hint of softness in a steady state. But when you're moving, it highlights different aspects of flow, of softness, of movement, of grace, of elegance when you're moving. And I do notice a lot of that, right? For example, so in the last 2 days, I was wearing very different fits. I should probably attach pictures. The first day, I was wearing my Hermès silk wool dress. And it's very simple. It's just a sheath dress, so it's just a straight cut down with a boat neck, neckline. And it's a very simple dress. Most of my clothes are all plain in color, but that had a gemstone kind of print, but raw gemstone print. So it's quite unique. It's very understated. There's nowhere ever it has this word Hermès around. No branding, no labels. I was carrying a wicker Ferragamo bag. So it's just very light, you can't see that it's a brand. But I do notice that when I'm just walking down, the dress looks very nice on me when I'm standing straight anyway, but when I'm walking down, it highlights certain elegance, softness, and grace when I'm walking down the street. And I know that because people were staring at an exceptional rate. I know people stare all the time already, but when people stare a lot more, I can feel the stare. And I definitely noticed a lot more stare than usual. And people were turning their heads, they were just looking. But there's nothing, absolutely nothing sexual about it. There is some form of a hint of sexiness in the outfit. And I love it. I was not even wearing heels. The dress goes to maybe mid-thigh. I was wearing ballet flats. I was just carrying my bag, and I had some cakes with me, so I was bringing cakes around because I was visiting my parents, and my aunt was coming over, so I bought some cakes for tea. And it was a very, very, very normal fit. But people could notice, and people turned their heads in a curiosity, but in an admiration perspective, than a leering eyes, because I really don't like creepy people. It just scares me so much. So you can tell when it's creepy versus when it's a friendly admiration, appreciation. So I know that I could feel that these stares were an appreciative stare. And to me, I think that is the nice kind of sexiness, not the sexual sexiness. Today, I wore the La Mer tunic top. It's a bit oversized, so it has a general hourglass cut because it's quite oversized, but there's nothing fitting on me at all. It's just all oversized. I love it. It's clean cut. It's just off the rack, but it just feels like it fits me to a T. Love it. Bun my hair up. Took my Hermès bag, but it's the Hermès vinyl Kelly, so it's like not many people know about it. Put my laptop in there. Throw a scarf in there, and just carry the bag with me under my arms. And I wore, what did I wear? Oh, I wore my sandals. So it was very understated, very casual, very clean. Again, people were staring. But I noticed this time a different type of people were staring. Yesterday with the more classic clean fit, it was both men and women. Today were more women staring and a bit more younger age women. So I think that it generally attracted a much younger crowd. Yesterday was a bit more maybe the 40s, 50s, 60s. And then today was a little bit more 30s, 40s. So I think, the kind of fit highlights certain type of interest, sexiness to a different group of people. And I think that is cool, right? I have nothing showing, no cleavage, like no body parts. It's just legs, but it's from knee or mid-thigh all the way down. And, mostly my toes were covered because I really don't like that. I don't like when people compliment my toes. Or compliment my feet. It freaks me out so much. And yeah, very high neckline as well. In fact, not even showing the collarbone. So I feel like a grandma, very conservative. But you can dress very elegantly, and people will notice. So I want to say that my general vibe and style, which I think is super cool, which I think is the intellect is the new sexy kind of cool, is, I've written this down. It is, I'm above trends, it's nonchalant, it's I read philosophy, it's I care about quality, fabric, the fit, the calm colors, the quiet silhouette, it's the softness, it's clean, it's subtle beauty, it's poetic. And I want to say, that is me, right? That is me, and I want to dress in that way. So I, like, even just here, it's a book on this artist called Eric Shomi. I do have another book, and I've got the Chanel catalog. I've got another book here about interior design. And then I have a lot of philosophy books over there. I have a lot of, don't really have poetry, because with poetry, I don't want to buy the books of poetry. Unless you consider the Republic, Plato's Republic, as poetry, because it's not the standard poetry, but poetry is a form of writing, right? Like Iliad is poetry. I don't have that in physical book. I have that in ebook, Kindle. Yeah. My lifestyle, the books I read, the things I'm consuming, I am trying to show them up in my style, in my clothes, in the way I move, in the way I walk. And I think ultimately it boils down to intellect. It's not that people who wear very body-hugging, fitted clothes are less intellectual. No, not at all. It's just that I find that very vulgar, and that's not how I want to come across. So I dress up in a way where I want to show that intellect is the new sexy. It's beautiful, it's attractive. And have that in my daily life, as it has always been, and then round them up into my outfit and my style and show up in that way physically instead of just in your brain. And yeah, I think that is sexy, right? It's the non-physical body parts of you that you want to highlight and showcase. And the thing is, again, right, life is all about signals. There is cheap signal and expensive signal. The costly signal is the one that's more valuable, as we do in economics. Economics really governs my life. The cheap signal would be to wear very little clothes and show off your body. And this cheap signal could be go and get plastic surgery and beauty enhancements to highlight whatever aspects of yourself. The costly beauty is to be educated and constantly be educated, read, explore interests, explore philosophy, music, classics. Costly signals would be going to the gym, eating healthy food, getting a nutritionist, doing lots of sports, have an active lifestyle so that you are 100% head to toe natural and you work hard for it. Because going to plastic surgery is a very cheap thing to do. Like cheap in terms of opportunity cost. All you do is pay money, lie down in bed, take care of yourself as you recover. It's a very cheap thing to do. The costly thing to do is go and learn how to enhance the natural beauty of yourself by learning how to, I don't know, contour yourself, or taking care of yourself by having a nutritionist and doing lots of sports, having coaches, having personal trainers. That kind of costly signals is what I think is very cool. And when you wrap it up in a way where it improves your style, it shows your style, I think that is the art of cool. Alright, till then, I will share other videos.